Hey guys, how's it going? Lagro here. So Harvest League is coming to an end pretty soon, but before that I want to give you a quick guide of my favorite character this league. This is a Eternity Shroud, Lightning Arrow and Galvanic Arrow Raider. This character is one of the fastest clearing character I have ever made, without a headhunter that is, and at the same time it also packs a very large single target damage. So Lightning Arrow has about 2.2 million Shaper DPS, not counting shock, and we do shock everything for a lot of bonus damage, but calculating that is misleading in my opinion. Galvanic Arrow has about 7 million Shaper DPS, or should we start saying Cyrus DPS, because who the hell kills Shaper anymore? I have cleared all content with this character on Awakened level 8, but most of my farming has been done on Awakened 7, because I have some sweet sextant mods I don't want to waste on random maps. And the drops from Cyrus are all the same, except we can't drop the Savior, and that's a good thing in this league because it sells for less than 100 chaos. A small side note before we go into this build is this character is not cheap. I have spent probably around 150 Exalt, and this is not min-maxed that much yet. But of course you can go a bit cheaper and have less damage. I hope you enjoyed this short showcase, and I'll see you in the gearing section. Welcome to the gearing section of this guide. So we're going to start talking about the body armor. The body armor is the Eternity Shroud. This drops from Uber Elder, so this is not an item you can get early in the league. This body armor has two very important stat line. It's the gain 3 to 5% elemental damage extra chaos per Shaper item equipped. And it's also hits ignore enemy monster chaos resistance if all equipped items are Shaper items. So we have 10 Shaper items equipped. As you can see, some of them are double influence. That doesn't matter, it's still Shaper items. This gives us 50% of elemental as extra chaos damage. And we also ignore chaos resistance. So ignoring chaos resistance is a bit tricky if you don't know how it works. It doesn't matter if the monster has 100 chaos resistance or minus 100 chaos resistance. You're still gonna do the same amount of damage. So you just ignore the resistance. It's not that you set the resistance to 0 and then you can use the spare to lower it below 0. So they always gonna have 0 chaos resistance against your attacks. I got one corrupted with reduced damage from critical strikes. I tried to enchant the armor with plus maximum life instead of the defense, and then double corrupting it to something good, but I got white sockets, so I opted for the reduced damage from critical strikes anyway. Secondly, we're going to talk about the bow, the Voltaxic Rift Spine Bow. So this bow has a lot of good stuff for this build. So starting off, it's high lightning damage, high attack speed, well, decent attack speed. It's 1.61 attacks per second. It's pretty good. But more importantly, 60% of lightning damage converted to chaos damage. So this makes our lightning damage into chaos damage, and from the Eternity Shroud we also ignore the chaos resistance, so that's a very good thing. And our chaos damage can shock. That's very good. We're doing a lot of chaos damage, as I said. And we shock enemies as though dealing 300% more damage. That means if you do 100k damage on a hit, your shock value counts of 400,000 damage instead. So it's 4 times your basically your chance to, or your amount of shock you do. And you can also shock the enemies so they take up to 100% increased damage, or 100% more damage actually, because it's a more multiplier. This is kind of hard on bosses though, so I wouldn't count on that then. Thirdly, we're gonna look at Call of the Brotherhood. These are the only unique items we use here, except the flasks. So Call of the Brotherhood converts lightning damage into cold damage, and the gain elementalist extra chaos counts for both the lightning damage and then also for the cold damage. So it counts the lightning damage before conversion, and then it counts the cold damage after the conversion. And other than that, we get some increased lightning damage, some resistance, and intelligence. That's actually a very important stat here, so I tried to find this to be pretty decent intelligence actually. And you also want to quality this with the elemental damage catalysts to get 48% conversion instead of just 40%. So after that, we're going to talk about the helmet. I went for a helmet with the lightning arrow hits 2 additional enemies. This gives us a bit more clear. Lightning arrow still hits 2 enemies, I think. It hits 3 enemies near the target, so now it hits 5 enemies instead. So this gives us a bit more consistent clear. I like that. I went for a Shaper and Warlord helmet. The reason we go Warlord here is we can get critical strike multiplier and increased elemental damage on it. So the mods I went for here is Abyssal Socket. You need to craft it with a Hollow Fossil to get that. Try to hit elemental damage. Those are the 2 hard mods to hit. Then I Aug Crit from Harvest Craft. And then I also crafted a Projectile Pierce an additional target. That helps a lot with clear as well. The quiver is a normal shaped quiver. There's no other influence we want on the quiver, because shaped is the only thing we need here. So the most important mods here, I think, are Global Crit Multi and Additional Arrow. I've been trying to use Add Remove Attack to get that lightning damage to be wed, or increased elemental damage with attacks instead. That would give me a lot more damage, but this is what I'm stuck with right now. I could also recraft that life to be a bit higher, but like the damage, as you can see, is enough on this build. The amulet is just a normal shaped amulet. We go for crit multi, some critical strike chance is always good, high life. I've been trying to craft on this as well, elemental damage with attack skills. I've been trying to harvest craft that, but I haven't hit it yet. It's very hard to hit that. And then some lightning damage to attacks. Like, this amulet is probably the worst piece of gear I have right now, but still does the trick. The ring, like the other ring that's not a unique ring, you want crit multi, so you need it to be Shaper Warlord. Assassin's Mark, very important to get power charges here. You will need some resistance somewhere on your gear. I've opted for it here on the ring. Life, elemental damage with attacks. This took like 40 add remove attacks to hit, I think, something like that. And then crafting the lightning damage to spells and attacks. It's very easy to hit that. You can just use add removed caster modifiers on the ring. And as you can see, it's the only caster modifier, so it's very easy to like re-roll that into tier 1. The gloves, I bought these gloves. They're not hard to craft though. You just need frenzy charge, and then you go for slower projectiles. That's just for getting 23% or up to 25% projectile damage. Resistance, we need a lot of resistance. Life, and then I just bench crafted attack speed. There was a third resistance on this, but I managed to find some resistance on other pieces of gear so I could get attack speed on the gloves instead. The belt is a just shaped Stygian. Oh, by the way, these are shaped and Warlord for the maximum frenzy charge. So this is just a shaped Stygian. I went for triple resist, life, elemental damage with attack skills, and increased damage. So the only attack mod you can get on a belt is elemental damage with attack skills. I think it's the only one. It might be one more mod, but it's very easy to hit like tier 1 elemental damage with attack skills. And I also went for resistance modifiers. As you can see, my resistances are, well, actually pretty good right now, but if I remove the resistance here, we're going to be below cap on cold resistance. And lastly, we got the boots. The boots are, as you can see, crafted with a hollow fossil as well. And we want high life, we want tailwind, and we want movement speed. These are crafted with hollow fossil, sanctified, and shuddering fossil to try to hit the, let's see, to try to hit abyssal socket, tier 1 movement speed. Just those two. Tailwind you can add with a augmented crit modifier if you have Shaper Hunter, or you can also go for Shaper Crusader and get the elusive instead, but we got elusive in the skill tree. So other than that, for gear pieces, we have our searching eye jewels. So let's see, we have this is probably the best jewel you can get, or it is the best jewel you can get. It's tier 1 lightning damage to attacks, it's tier 1 lightning damage to bow attacks, it's tier 1 life and tier 1 crit multi. So this was very, very hard to find. There's not a lot of them, and hitting tier 1 lightning damage and tier 1 lightning damage to bow attacks is very, very, very rare. So as you can see, like, these are lightning damage to attacks, cold damage to attacks, lightning damage to bow attacks, like same area, but they're not like even close to the same standard as this one. I'd love to have 4 of these or 3 of these. Other than that, our flasks we're using at Serious Promise. There's more elemental damage as extra chaos. Chaos damage deals life. Very nice. We're a crit build, so a diamond flask is always pretty good. It doesn't give us that much crit, but like we need bleed immunity somewhere. I don't have a jewel with corrupted blood yet because our jewels are freaking expensive, and getting corrupted blood on them will be insane. And we also have a Quicksilver. Like, moving fast is always nice. Additional projectiles from Dying Sun. Make sure you get this with like 0% increased charges used, basically, like probably up to like 4 or 5. So you have 2 charges on your flask at least. Even though I have 3% increased charges used, I still have 2 charges on my flask. And then of course, Bottle of Faith. This could also be better. It's only 8% increased damage taken to enemies, but well. So other than that, we have a Thread of Hope with a medium ring. We have a medium cluster jewel with Eternal Suffering and Unwavering Evil. I'm going to explain that a bit. So Eternal Suffering, increased chaos damage is great for us. Like I said, we do mostly chaos damage. 80% of our damage is chaos damage. So increased chaos damage is great. And also getting Wither on attack. So there's 50% chance to inflict Wither for 2 seconds on hit if there's 5 or fewer Wither debuffs on the enemy. Each Wither stack makes the enemy take 6% increased chaos damage. So getting 5 of that is 30% increased chaos damage taken. And like when we're using Galvanic Arrow, that's without Frenzy Charges and without Onslaught, which we always have up. We inflict 5 Wither stacks super fast. So we get that basically instantly. And make them take 30% more damage, basically. Unwavering Evil is just for the increased chaos damage. There's some other option you can get here as well. But Eternal Suffering is the most important. The jewel we're using is a triple crit multi with percent increased life. Pretty good. You can get this with the enchant of movement speed. Like 1% movement speed. That'd be pretty good. We're using an Intuitive Leap. This is one of the items you could get with Corrupted Blood immunity. Like, lightning penetration is useless. We don't do any lightning damage. As you can see, there's no lightning damage. But that's what I got when I corrupted mine. And we're also using a Watcher's Eye with crit strike chance while affected by Wrath and crit multi while affected by precision. You could get this with attack damage while affected by precision, or you could go for like a triple one if you're super rich with like crit multi with precision. You can get attack damage with precision and then the crit strike chance with wrath, or there's some other options you can go for as well, but that's what I went for. Oh, lastly, we have no witnesses as an anoint on the amulet, and no witnesses is the elusive node on the tree, so you get elusive on kill. So that's pretty nice having that instead of having a tailwind elusive boots, since we can't have a tailwind elusive boots because they need to be shaped. Okay, so that's it for the gearing section. Next up is going to be the skill gems. So for the skill gems, our clearing skill is going to be lightning arrow. You're going to link that with awakened elemental damage with attack skills, or just normal elemental damage with attack skills. That's enough. Mirage Archer, or Mirage Archer has a lot of attack speed, so that actually clears a lot by itself. Awakened GMP, or just normal GMP if you can't afford Awakened GMP. Inspiration, and Awakened added lightning damage. So this gives you a lot of flat added lightning damage, and it's also +1 for lightning arrow, which gives you more flat and also a bit more percent. If you want, you could swap inspiration for hypothermia as well. I went for inspiration because basically I had the sockets on this corrupted one, and well, I didn't want to change it. I just went for inspiration. Hypothermia might be a little bit more damage, but our single target skill is going to be galvanic arrow, linked with barrage support. That makes it so fire a lot more than just, as you can see, quite a lot of more projectile stairs. I will awakened elemental damage, awakened elemental damage with attack support, or normal one, inspiration, lightning damage, and awakened void manipulation. This is for 44% more chaos damage. That's actually a lot of damage. It's actually really good. It's so weird having like reduced elemental damage, but it's like the best support here. So that's for our links. So clear and single target. Our auras is going to be a wrath, Herald of Thunder, it's just flat added lightning, precision for accuracy and crit strike chance, linked with enlighten. I have an enlighten level 3. I would like to have an enlighten level 4, but I've just been lazy. We just have like mana for I think 4 attacks or something, but with the leech we have, that's enough. Our movement skill is dash. I love dash, especially when you link it with second wind, and since it's so smooth to play with, and we also have blood rage for some increased attack speed. We don't need the frenzy charges since we're a raider, but I like blood rage anyway for attack speed. Other than that, I'm using a portal gem, and I'm using an enlighten. I'm not using an enlighten, I'm leveling an enlighten. In the helmet instead, you could go for a cast and damage taken setup with like steel skin or immortal coal maybe, but I haven't felt the need for it. Sure, I could avoid some nasty porcupine damage if I had a cast and damage taken setup, but I haven't fixed that yet. I'm lazy. Okay, I'm lazy. Okay, so next up is gonna be the skill tree. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so what do we do for the skill tree? Let's do something different. Let's start out with the ascendancy. So we're a raider. There's actually only 2 choices here, basically. In my opinion, there's 2 choices. This one is a given. So going into Way of the Poacher for attack speed, frenzy charge on kill, frenzy charge on hit, and maximum frenzy charge. That's just super good. Movement speed, attack damage, and evasion rating per frenzy charges. We have 8 frenzy charges, so as you can imagine, that stacks up quite a bit. Then we go for rapid assault. This gives us onslaught on hit and also onslaught on kill, but like onslaught on hit is so much more important because you can't get that any other way. Attack damage and chance to avoid is pretty good. And avatar of the chase, like increased onslaught effect, increased damage during onslaught, chance to evade. It's fine, but it's not super good, but it's still something. The reason we won't go this is increased elemental damage doesn't do that much for us, And phasing, sure, that's nice. Having phasing is nice. Phasing makes it so you can run through stuff, like unhindered. However, Avatar of the Veil is pretty bad for us, because getting fire, cold, and lightning exposure does basically nothing for us, since we do mostly chaos damage. So getting that, and sure, like immunity to elemental ailments is nice, but this is better. This is just straight out better. So the skill tree then, we start off going life into fitness, getting this. Instead of getting the life here, the reason is we want strength and intelligence, or basically just the intelligence, but strength is also nice. Some more damage, and also projectile speed. Projectile speed makes it so your projectiles actually go further and clear better. So if you have very low and like slow projectiles, your projectiles are not going to go as far. Some more accuracy, life, movement speed, and damage. Like, what more can you ask for? So other than that, like getting Wind Dancer together with acrobatics and face acrobatics is, I think that's pretty good, because Wind Dancer, like the less evasion rating, if you haven't been hit recently, like evasion rating doesn't affect this. This is dodge. Dodge and evade is not the same thing. So not getting hit as often, which like acrobatics and face acrobatics does, synergizes pretty well with the 20% less damage taken if you haven't been hit recently. So what you do is you dodge, and then when you get hit, you take 20% less damage. And then hopefully you dodge for another 4 seconds, so you're back at taking 20% less damage the next time you get hit. Well, hopefully, but that's not always the case. So other than that, we go over to Golem's Blood, and we grab this jewel socket, and we put a Thread of Hope with a medium ring here. The reason we have a medium ring is so we can pick up Bravery. You can also grab these 2 life nodes if you want. But Bravery is 8% life, 24% evasion rating, pretty good. Fury Bolts, damage, projectile speed, accuracy. Discipline of this Disciple of the Unyielding. Minimum endurance charge, that's pretty nice. Getting an endurance charge on kill, that means we're gonna have endurance charges when we clear. That's pretty nice, makes it a bit more tankier. Disciple of the Slaughter, it's mainly for the increased damage per frenzy charge. As I said, we have 8 frenzy charges, so that's 64% increased damage. That's pretty nice. Make sure you pick up this as well. Like these 2 nodes are just the 2 latest nodes in my leveling. So it used to look like this when I was in level 93. But then I went for these 2 as well to get the movement speed. I mean, 8, that's 16% increased movement speed. That's pretty nice for like 2 points. And also the evasion is not terrible. But a lot of people just pick up this node. But when you're a raider, definitely pick up this node. That's 16% increased attack speed for 1 point. That's insane. There's no other way you can get 16% attack speed for 1 point. So make sure you pick up that. Grab some intelligence. We already talked about the medium cluster jewel. I haven't picked up point blank right now. If you're lacking a bit of single target damage, I would definitely pick up point blank. But not running point blank will give us better clear, because like we're not that often shooting stuff close to us. So you can pick up point blank. Some lethality, some bow damage, and some crit strike chance, crit multi, elemental damage during flask effect, and elemental damage. You could drop this and like go in, maybe grab a jewel socket. Then you have to go this way up, grab the jewel socket and stuff like that. But I went for this instead. Some life. We have a intuitive leap here. So if you don't want, you can skip these 2 life and you could go for more damage. But I wanted some more life. I mean, 4.5k is, that's not a lot, but so I try to get a bit more. Intuitive leap makes it possible for us to pick up Survivalist, Heartseeker, Acuity, the Frenzy Charge, and also the life without picking up the travel nodes there. So that's a huge advantage for us. Getting some more crit strike chance with bows, crit damage. Here we want a Lionized Fall. I forgot to mention this in the gearing section, but Lionized Fall is like mandatory for any elemental damage or any bow builds on the right side of the tree. Lionite's Fall turns melee and melee weapon type into bow modifiers, which means if we take this out and look at this node, its claw attacks deal increased damage, and with this it's oh, what the hell? Oh, removing the skill. Now it's bow attacks. So same thing goes with these. These are crit multi and crit strike chance with claws. Now it's crit multi and crit strike chance with bows. Super nice. And this is also like bow attack damage, attack speed, accuracy, and some phasing here. So that's why the other ascendancy is not that good as well. Grab the Frenzy Charge. Forgot to mention that. Grab the Frenzy Charge. Everywhere you can find Frenzy Charge, grab them. Go that way for intelligence, life, crit multi, some damage and some intelligence. So as you can see, we can't remove that intelligence. I would love to remove that intelligence and grab point blank instead or something like that. But so that's the skill tree. If you want to go a bit more tanky with this and drop some damage, there's a lot of life nodes you can pick up. We have 2 life nodes here, 1 here. We have 2 life nodes here. We have a life node here. And I know we had some life somewhere else. Yeah, I used to go this way as well and go and grab that life and grab that jewel socket. But like when you're staging bosses as fast as we do, and when you clear as fast as we do with this build, having more than like 5k life, I don't feel that's necessary, because you basically just get attacked like by a big attack once and then stuff is dead. So like that's what I opted for, and this is the way I built my skill tree. Okay, so let's check what we did for Pantheons. These are not super important. As you can see, I haven't even captured like the last souls, because I don't feel that's super important. So I went for Solar Arcali, reduced damage taken from damage over time. That's just for like when you get desecrated ground, or you find some chest with caustic ground and stuff like that, so you don't die. And then we have unaffected by burning ground. It's just for quality of life, and we don't like with low life pool, running on burning ground or running on desecrated ground might kill you eventually. Okay, that's it for the skill tree section. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit about leveling this character and how we could level this really fast. I have a leveling guide for a ranger, so I'll put the link in the description to that, and I'll also put a link up in the corner for you, so you can find that guide. So basically, you want to start out by getting Stormcloud, and then at level 32 you get the Tempest. You're going to be leveling with Lightning Arrow, and you're going to be leveling with Galvanic Arrow. Lightning Arrow is your clear, and Galvanic Arrow as your 5-link single target. So that's the best. That's the best way right now. So Stormcloud into the Tempest. You want a Tabula. If you can, you can get one with % increased damage. That's going to be more than +1 socketed gems for you. Gold Rim. You also want the Wanderlust. I forgot to take them out apparently. Huri's Bite. That's some attack speed, and it's also much needed stats. Like getting strength and intelligence on this is great. At level 20, you want to put on 2 Barracks Grip. This is %. This is not %. Yes, it is %. It's % increased cold damage, but that's not what I'm talking about. It's flat lightning damage. And together with the Tempest, that has 100% increased lightning damage. That gives you a lot of extra damage. Career Ward. I anointed this with Fleetfoot. I think it's this one. Yeah, so it's movement speed, attack and cast speed if you used a movement skill recently, and it's also increased cooldown recovery speed for movement skills. So when you use this with dash and second wind, you get a very short cooldown on your dash, and also you get 10% increased cast speed. I mean, yeah, cast speed as well. Attack speed when you have dashed. So it's a very good one. You could also go for quick step, which is just normal attack speed and movement speed, and you can also go for Harrier up here, attack speed and movement speed. That's a bit more expensive, but like it's nothing basically. And lastly, and probably the most important thing, let's save the most important to last, is a Darkness Enthroned. They buffed the Darkness Enthroned this league to be 75% increased effect of Socketed Jewels instead of 50% increased effect. And the jewels you're looking for is flat lightning damaged attacks, flat lightning damaged bow attacks, and like Onslaught on Kill is also great, because then you can drop your Onslaught gem pretty early. And also increased movement speed if you haven't been hit recently. So getting this gives us like 5% more, 5%, not 5% more, 5% increased movement speed per jewel. So just getting 2 jewels with increased movement speed if you haven't taken damage recently, or if you killed recently. I prefer the if you haven't taken damage recently, because that works in towns as well, and in Act 3 you really want movement speed in town to be super fast. And when you're leveling, go for a Quicksilver, of course, go for a Life Flask, go for a Wise Oak as well. And because with these two, these both give you lightning resistance and cold resistance. And using this, the only resistance you get is from these 3 items. So your lightning resistance and cold resistance is going to be your highest. So you penetrate on those damage types. Okay, that's going to be it for this guide. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something. And unless they change something, I'm probably going to make this character next league as well, because this was super fun. I love clearing fast. I love the single target and just bursting bosses down, and you can just do everything with the same character and still be super fast and not be relying on a headhunter for buffs and like sucking on damage if you don't get any headhunter buffs. So I hope I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll be putting up 1 or 2 more guides before the league end. I really want to show you my Golemancer and also my curse bot. I haven't seen any real guides for curse bots yet. So stay tuned for that and subscribe if you want to see that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.